the American Red Cross Humanitarians of the Year event. As we take a few minutes to allow everyone to gather, thank you for joining us today. Welcome to the American Red Cross Humanitarians of the Year event. As we take a few minutes to allow everyone to gather, thank you for joining us today.
As the American Red Cross, it's imperative that we are prepared for any type of disaster. And in true fashion, the Red Cross actually started planning and practicing pandemic blood drives years ago. We knew that people would be concerned about presenting to the blood drives due to the amount of people. So we took steps to reach out to our state officials and the governor and ask to be included in the stay-at-home order, that we were a safe, essential service to continue in the public. We implemented in June of 2020 the COVID-19 antibody testing for all blood, platelets, and plasma donations, which of course was beneficial to all donors because of the concern of being exposed to COVID-19. During the time of a pandemic, it is imperative that you be nimble and be able to be innovative, to be able to change your operations, ensuring that you are able to collect blood. And with the American Red Cross Blood Operation Program, we were able to do that and ensure that we met patient needs.
Welcome to the American Red Cross Humanitarians of the Year event. Our program starts right now.
Hello, I'm Kurt Walker, CEO of Nationwide, and I'm pleased to welcome you to the American Red Cross Humanitarians of the Year event. Nationwide is honored to have partnered with the Red Cross since 1944 and to be a sponsor of this year's event. Today, we're humbled to recognize the brave men and women on the front lines of healthcare, those who have gone above and beyond at great personal risk to serve their community and their fellow citizens in extraordinary ways during unprecedented times. We are truly grateful for your tireless efforts, bravery, and heroic actions. Congratulations to all of those being honored, but more importantly, thank you for the incredible work that you do.
Welcome to the Red Cross Humanitarian of the Year virtual luncheon. I'm Stacia Nucken from ABC6 and Fox 28. I'm honored to be here today along with my news anchor colleagues from across Central Ohio, Carrie Charles from NBC4 and Yolanda Harris from WBNS 10 TV. Today we are recognizing the incredible work of this year's honorees, the brave men and women of public health, Central Ohio healthcare systems, and former Ohio Health Director Dr. Amy Acton. 1 year ago today, the people of Ohio were ordered to stay at home to slow the spread of COVID-19. But for those working in healthcare, it was a call to action. When our community was told to stay home for their own health and safety, healthcare workers stepped up and stepped out to keep all of us safe. And as you will learn today, they are performing essential roles while enduring stressful times at work and home. They not only worried about loved ones far away and nearby, they were concerned about bringing this deadly virus home. Doing their jobs, taking care of patients, staff, and facilities is truly heroic, and we can't thank each of our honorees enough. Well, the Red Cross can be counted on to step up in times of emergency. They are there in our time of need because of dedicated volunteers and generous donors like you. The past 24 Red Cross Humanitarians of the Year together reflect the compassion and kindness of this community. As we go through today's program, you have the opportunity to support the work of the American Red Cross. On the left of your screen, you'll see options for making a donation. You can make your gift while viewing today's program. You can also text the word Together Ohio, all one word, to 76278, or use your smart device camera with the QR code at the bottom of your screen. Again, text the word Together Ohio to 76278. Follow the prompts to be sure the American Red Cross has the resources to support Central Ohio in times of need. Before we begin recognizing our honorees, I'd like to introduce the CEO of the Central and Southern region of the American Red Cross, Stephanie Bird. She oversees 5 chapters and 47 counties serving 6.2 million people, including this chapter.
Thank you, Stacia. Welcome to the Humanitarian of the Year celebration. The Red Cross is the world's largest humanitarian network organized on the battlefield during the Civil War by Claire Barton to alleviate human suffering. Across this country, the name Red Cross is synonymous with humanitarian efforts. Right here in Central Ohio, our Red Cross chapter collects life-saving blood and teaches life-saving skills. Thousands of volunteer hours are given to assist victims of disasters and emergencies, whether it's a major hurricane or a flood right here in Central Ohio, a massive wildfire, or a home fire in your neighborhood. The Red Cross operates on a foundation of compassion, having empathy and concern for the suffering of others. This organization effectively turns compassion into action, mobilizing to prevent or alleviate the impact of disasters. The Red Cross is there in our time of need because of dedicated volunteers and generous donors like you. Your support ensures we are Red Cross ready. This year, our team across the country has adapted to help with the needs of the COVID-19 pandemic. We work side by side with public health and emergency response officials to support our communities as we began dealing with this unprecedented pandemic. The role of public health is nothing short of extraordinary. I'm proud of our Red Cross teams, and I'm proud of our entire region. I've seen firsthand true humanitarianism in action every day. That's why we're here today. to celebrate the true humanitarians of this crisis in our community health systems and public health. Let's take a look at a tribute to the men and women on the front lines each and every day and remind ourselves of the impact these amazing doctors and nurses have made on our community.
In early 2020, before the public was fully aware of the threat coming our way, public health professionals and infectious disease specialists were in high gear, taking steps to keep us safe. Our once bustling communities came to a standstill when the governor closed all K-12 schools, and 1 week later told us all to stay at home.
If we do not act and stop and break up these groups and get some distance, people, if we do not do that, our healthcare system in the state of Ohio will not hold up.
Not everyone stayed home. Central Ohio healthcare systems had teams ready to protect patients, clinicians, and staff, and the novel virus COVID-19 found its way to us.
When COVID hit the scene, we didn't know much about it. Was it like other coronaviruses? Was it like flu? How does it spread? How do we treat the people? The public was afraid. Healthcare providers were afraid, and they were looking for guidance on what to do. I always let people know what the science is as we know it, and you have to recognize that and be very humble, transparent about it, and to let people know as science changes, things change.
Especially early on, there was a lot of frustration among the general public that public health people and experts didn't know what they were talking about because the message kept changing. But in fact, we were just learning so quickly that we had to accommodate different ideas. Discussions early started with what kind of testing was available and what sort of treatments might be useful. Now they're getting into more treatments and vaccine issues. All of these things we've worked together with the other hospital systems in town. We did a lot of our communication on Zoom calls across the city and across the state, and it was common that we would have a computer screen that had 64 faces on it, and that was the face of COVID because it required a multidisciplinary team.
Doctors and nurses bravely stepped up as cases grew, sometimes struggling for personal protective gear, life-saving equipment, and answers to their many questions on how to defeat it. They gave their best while putting themselves in harm's way. They never stopped fighting for their patients who were isolated and alone.
When you're taking care of a patient that's in isolation, it's an impact to both the patient and the nursing team caring for them. When a patient is laying in bed, they have a mask on as well. And then they have a primary care team coming in to take care of them, and they have eye protection on and a mask, as well as gloves and gowns, and that can be overwhelming to patients. And so there's this emotional impact for our staff as well as the patients to make sure that, we have that connection.
These vaccines were generated in record time, but the reason that they were generated so quickly is because of the years and years of work that scientists did that led up to these vaccines, that included how to design them, how to make them safe and effective. With the COVID pandemic, it's really forged stronger bonds between clinicians and basic scientists. We see the benefit of that, how quickly things can move forward if we move forward together.
Now moving forward, the conversation with which is very important to me is getting us to the end of the pandemic. And that really involves having a conversation with all communities about the safety and the efficacy of the vaccines, and to allow people to ask questions in a respectful and non-judgmental answer. What's going to get us to the end of the pandemic is everybody rolling up their sleeves and getting a shot. We need to take that message to everybody. COVID anywhere is a threat everywhere.
We are blessed to live in the midst of healthcare systems that are strong, innovative, and relentless in their efforts to keep us safe and well. There are no words strong enough to show our gratitude, but we have found other ways to say thank you. Signs and songs, balloons and bravos.
a car parade in our neighborhood, an amazing flyover across Central Ohio. Today, we pause to honor the healthcare community. When the world stayed home, you stepped out and showed you are all humanitarians.
We are indeed blessed to have so many remarkable individuals who have stepped out to keep us safe, cared for our loved ones, and carved a path to today with vaccines. We cannot thank you all enough. In addition to what we just heard, not only did the healthcare community come together, we all came together in many innovative ways to support each other and the staff on the front lines. Let's take a look at some of the unique ways local individuals, small businesses, and large companies helped during the height of this pandemic.
There is an old proverb that necessity is the mother of invention. Since the winter of 2020, we've had plenty of necessity and some remarkable inventions. Central Ohio has stepped forward with innovations and answers that have helped us manage this pandemic and its effect on us. Here are two stories that show what great resources we have right here in Central Ohio. The first finds a solution to scarcity in the kindness of others. And the second draws on scientists and engineers at one of the world's preeminent problem solvers, Battelle, founded in Columbus in 1929. Take a look.
With the arrival of COVID-19, hospitals quickly realized that they needed more personal protective equipment, or PPE. Suppliers were unable to keep up with this sudden global demand. With gaps in the supply chain, healthcare institutions came up with another idea. March 25th, 2020. Central Ohio Health Systems put out a call for donations of unopened packages of N95 masks and other PPE from local businesses not associated with healthcare. What kind of companies would have PPE of this kind? Construction companies, painting and woodworking operations, automotive stores, cleaning companies, among others, protect their workers with masks, gloves, and face shields. From large manufacturers to small painting contractors, Central Ohioans stepped up to help.
You're looking at a critical care decontamination system. Each one is capable of decontaminating up to 80,000 N95 masks each day. This game-changer technology is coming straight from Central Ohio, thanks to nonprofit Battelle. The personal protective equipment is then returned to healthcare workers, taking a mask that's typically used once and allowing it to be reused safely up to 20 times.
Albert Einstein said, "Out of clutter, find simplicity. From discord, find harmony. In the middle of difficulty lies opportunity." Early on, one local industry saw an opportunity to adapt their operation to solve another shortage, a limited supply of hand sanitizer. Belly up to the bar. Did we mention that half of the output is given free to first responders? It's been a year sitting in front of a screen, as you are now. We've been deprived of live entertainment, and the many talented performers in our area have been without a place to perform and an audience. Until the Greater Columbus Arts Council had a terrific idea, curbside concerts that bring performances to the people. Listen to this.
Recently, members of the Ohio National Guard's Joint Task Force Fox, as well as staff at the Mid-Ohio Food Bank, enjoyed a curbside concert provided by the Greater Columbus Arts Council.
Today we have a concert provided by the Mid-Ohio Food Bank, and stuff like this just really improves morale and makes us feel grateful for helping the community out in times of need like this.
These are but a few of the innovative ways we have moved forward together. We've accomplished a lot. Facing difficulty together has fostered innovation and built community. Today, the American Red Cross celebrates all of us.
The American Red Cross prevents and alleviates human suffering in the face of emergencies by mobilizing the power of volunteers and the generosity of donors. We aspire to turn compassion into action so that all people affected by disaster across the country and around the world receive care, shelter, and hope. That's what we're called upon to do in a time of pandemic. In this time of pandemic, to protect the life and health of all people, to provide hope. This is not a new challenge. The Red Cross responds to disasters every day. A house fire in your neighborhood, a dangerous wildfire jeopardizing entire communities, threatening the environment, taking lives. Floods that take away parts of your homes, many of our memories, and even the lives of young and old. Millions of people are impacted by a chain of relentless wildfires, raging hurricanes, and a massive derecho. Homes burned and flooded. In the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, some people lost it all. But the Red Cross helped on a massive scale, averaging a new disaster response nearly every day. Just as disasters do not discriminate in terms of whose lives they destroy, the Red Cross does not discriminate in whose lives we help rebuild. We deliver help to anyone who needs it. Each time the Red Cross responds, a number of Central Ohioans put their lives on hold to provide comfort and care to those affected. Red Cross volunteers are trained to serve. They can set up shelters, serve meals, distribute supplies. They are armed with effective technology and big hearts. Sometimes all they have to do is listen and offer a kind word of encouragement. Most will admit that this emergency feels different. A pandemic constrains the helpers. There is a risk associated with serving others. It is unfamiliar and unrelenting. But communities are coming together. Kindness is contagious, and good deeds are everywhere. Our only way through this is together. Our communities are ready and prepared. There is power in partnerships. When a distillery makes sanitizer, when a manufacturer donates a stock of PPE, when a religious or civic organization becomes a blood drive or vaccination site, when a musician puts on an impromptu concert in the driveway of a senior center, when volunteers staff a drive-through testing site in the heat, the rain, the cold, and when a patron of that site comes back with a box of hot coffee for all the workers. Today, we celebrate the efforts of 5 healthcare systems who are sharing their triumphs and knowledge from the professional networks around the world. They have collaborated to develop more effective treatment strategies. They have shared prevention techniques that are keeping facilities and people safe. And we celebrate public health professionals who strategize, plan, and mobilize to keep the community healthy. Dr. Acton and Ohio's 113 health district leaders are coordinating actions for mutual aid, one district to another, when hotspots arise. They are navigating this remarkable task of vaccinations, working as partners. The Red Cross has long known the value of good partnership. Even as the pandemic continues, remember that so does the mission. The need for blood donations doesn't stop because of the pandemic. People are still in accidents, getting sick, requiring surgery, undergoing cancer treatments and transfusions. People are pulling up their sleeves with open hearts. They trust the Red Cross to provide safe and effective ways to meet the demands of the time. We remain Red Cross ready, thanks to our partners in the community and thanks to donors like you, so that all members of our armed services and their families are finding support and comfort whenever needed. And in an emergency, there are always trained individuals nearby, ready to use the Red Cross skills to save lives. We are inspired by the dedication of healthcare workers and the teams of colleagues in the labs running tests, in the hallways sanitizing touch points, in the ICU comforting a critical patient, and in the break room enjoying some quiet, and at the end of a shift celebrating work well done. When I see the community coming together, I am reminded of the spirit of people I have met at natural disaster sites. In times like that, in times like these, when the world stays home, Red Cross volunteers continue to serve the community. Thank you to our strong and diverse board of directors and community volunteer leaders who are ambassadors of the humanitarian movement. We are called to protect public health by wearing a mask and washing our hands, to practice infection prevention by keeping our distance and sanitizing surfaces, to offer encouragement to others, to look out for our neighbors. Together, we can see that bright future just over the horizon.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Kerry Charles, evening news anchor here on NBC4. Like Stacia said at the top of the program, I am honored to be here to help the American Red Cross recognize all of this year's Humanitarians of the Year. As a reminder, you have the opportunity to support the work of our American Red Cross. Whether you take a class in the life-saving techniques of CPR or donate life-giving blood, Red Cross is playing a vital role in times of need. Help them continue to serve the people of Central Ohio. On the left of your screen, you will see options for making a donation. You can make your gift while watching today's program. If you are watching on a smart device, you'll need to go out of full screen and scroll below the broadcast to donate, or you can text the word Together Ohio, that's one word, to 76278, or use your smart device camera with the QR code at the bottom of your screen. Now, sponsors, as we know, they are very important to this wonderful event today. You will see the names of these generous friends of the Red Cross on the screen. The Red Cross is very grateful to Nationwide for being our 2021 presenting sponsor. Thank you to the Essential Workers level sponsors, the Robert Weiler Company and Value City Furniture. Red Cross thanks the Volunteer Hero level sponsors, Nationwide Children's Hospital and Huntington National Bank. Thank you to these patient advocacy level sponsors, American Electric Power Foundation and COVA Foundation of Ohio, Hexion, Ice Miller, L Brands Foundation, Mount Carmel Health System, Ohio Health, the Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center, and Quantum Health. The names of the Mask Up Ohio and Action Amy level sponsors are on the screen. The American Red Cross honors a very special group of leaders with membership in the Tiffany Circle. It is named for the historic 1917 Tiffany stained glass windows at the Red Cross National Headquarters in Washington. Tiffany Circle members are generous, highly involved women who are passionate about the Red Cross mission. They have opportunities to engage not only locally, but at the national and international levels of Red Cross. You know, when we think of essential workers in healthcare, our first thought is usually of amazing, caring, and compassionate doctors and nurses. As you learned in the brief video, they are finding new ways to practice medicine when the patients are isolated and when they are head to toe in personal protective equipment. These, to say the least, are challenging times. The 5 institutions representing Central Ohio's healthcare systems are complex organizations working to support doctors, nurses, and especially patients. From the quality of the air exchange in the building to the nutrition of a patient meal, there are teams of specialists who are vital to the life-saving work these hospital systems perform each and every day. Our goal is to highlight individuals and disciplines that you might not know much about and introduce you to some of the people who have stepped up during these unprecedented times. Our first honorees, Mount Carmel Health and Nationwide Children's Hospital, each tackled the need for COVID-19 testing with drive-through sites. Nationwide Children's community testing lot was set up on its campus. Workers tested children with an order from their primary care physician and an appointment. Nurses and staff members throughout the organization came together to run a testing site seamlessly, with call-in nurses answering questions and setting testing appointments. As part of its mission, Mount Carmel has an extensive health and wellness program for underserved individuals. Its screening center is now at the Celeste Building Expo Center over at the Ohio State Fairgrounds. As one of the organizers of their first drive-in site noted, the weather has not been kind, but the people being tested certainly have been. Let's take a look.
When COVID came along, we had to cease doing community programming just as a way to keep the community safe and to help stop the spread. So our team found ourselves in a unique position where we, as Mount Carmel, needed to respond to a great community need for COVID testing. And we were able to pivot and redirect our team to help support setting up COVID testing, so we could just focus our normal community outreach efforts to testing the community in another way.
Mount Carmel opened our first screening station on March 13th of 2020. That day we administered 14 tests. We thought it was a victory, it was a win, we did it. Since then, We now have grown to 4 screening COVID stations, and we have administered over 80,000 tests.
One thing that we have learned throughout this pandemic is that we have strengthened numbers, and the spirit of collaboration is so important to making anything this large work. We had volunteers to staff the COVID testing sites come from all over the health system.
All the hospital systems worked together, side by side. We removed silos. We were all focused on the same mission, the same purpose, taking care of patients.
So we have so many stories of so many grateful patients that have come through testing. There are stories of patients who have come back through the line and given the staff cold drinks on a hot day or hot drinks on a cold day, have brought snacks and lunches and thank yous, and that is the most rewarding thing that our staff have found from this work. It has been trying, however, there is so many learnings to be had from our experiences, and seeing the strength and the passion and the commitment of our caregivers coming out in this world of a pandemic has been amazing.
And to be a part of that, we've stated it felt like we were part of history. I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of the work that we did here with community health and well-being, and I'm so proud of the work that we've done for our community altogether. It's been a privilege.
Hi, my name is Brian Pearson, Vice President of Community Health and Wellbeing for Mount Carmel Health. On behalf of our health system, it's an honor to accept this recognition. Prior to March 13th, we had no COVID testing infrastructure. Our incident command came together, along with a number of other people within the organization, to make this a reality. Our lab worked for months outside of its structural capacity. Let's talk about our call center, which didn't exist. We pulled together a call center, and now the call center is making sure that all of our folks, all of our patients are able to be seen in a timely fashion. And definitely don't want to forget all those who came together to actually maintain COVID testing. Clinical and non-clinical personnel, making sure all the orders were in the right place at the right time, and nurses and other clinical professionals who were outside in every single bit of weather possible. 90 degrees in humidity, in full PPE and PAPRs, all the way to 25 degrees and snow. It is an honor to be able to accept this on behalf of all of those great people who did great work and continue to do great work today. Thank you very much.
We are seeing a lot of cars today. I know that there's long wait times. We really appreciate the patience. We really appreciate everybody being so kind. This takes a team, and everybody's working as fast and as hard as they can here.
It starts at 6:30 in the morning and it doesn't end till about 11 at night.
COVID-19 hotline, this is Gwen. How can I help you?
This is the Nationwide Children's COVID call center. We're actually answering 2 COVID lines. One is the employee line and the second is the community health line. It is staffed by all nurses and we are here 7 days a week. Coming from all different areas, they never had to work together until they were thrown into this situation, and they have functioned as a well-oiled team and working together and navigating the daily changes. For the community, it's lots of COVID questions. How do you quarantine? Does my child meet criteria to be tested? The employees, it's the same thing. If they meet criteria, we're ordering that test and sending them through the line.
The patient will come through, parking, make sure everybody gets in, goes in the right lanes, make sure the flow of traffic stays steady. Everybody has a scheduled time. Registration gets them all checked in, and then they'll head up to our swabbing nurses. Swabbing nurses will talk to them, make them feel as comfortable as possible, complete the procedure, and then they're out of here. The lab finishes it up by processing the specimen and getting it to where it needs to go so that we can decide if it's a positive or a negative.
When did this start? With the surge in the community, we're doing anywhere from 600 to 1,000 calls a day. The other day we did meet a record and we hit 1,200 calls. We want to shout out thanks to all of the staff for coming together and making this work.
We thank you, we appreciate you. They come out in the cold, in the hot, in the rain, and the snow, the wind.
I also want to shout out to all of our employees out there and appreciate their patience as we've tried to navigate, especially the high volumes the last few weeks.
There's a lot of people on the team, a lot of people that are really working hard to get these people through. We all have to work together to make this work, to make this process work. Thank you, American Red Cross, for all you do and for recognizing our own distinguished alumna, Dr. Amy Acton, as Humanitarian of the Year, as well as honoring the Nationwide Children's Team and the other Central Ohio hospital systems. We are all grateful for your support.
Congratulations to Mount Carmel Health and to Nationwide Children's Hospital. Your commitment to our community is truly appreciated. Our next honoree, Memorial Health, is a community hospital system in Union County. We would like for you to meet a respiratory therapist and an emergency room nurse.
Emergency nursing is its own breed. We can go from 0 to 60 miles an hour in a very few seconds.
Respiratory therapists are nationally board certified medical professionals. We deal with anything that has to do with the lungs, heart, sometimes both.
COVID and PPE has been a huge undertaking.
We've learned a lot about ourselves and about our coworkers and a lot about our community in general. It's been amazing how much the community has reached out.
Marysville has become my family.
I've learned how to reach deep inside and pull more out, physically, mentally, emotionally.
We helped each other, we protected each other.
And we've picked up extra shifts. We worked incredible hours.
Compensating for patient isolation was tough.
They need that reassurance. They need that compassion. They need that touch. They're scared. They're alone. They need us.
So I think speaking with them, talking with them, spending those few extra minutes with the patients, calling family members to update them.
And it's just, they cry, I cry. It's been hard to see them. It's been just as hard to see them as it has been to see my family. They are my family after a while.
The stress of this last year has certainly been real. Usually you can leave your work at work and you go home and you're done for the day. But we did carry it. I think we carried it 24/7.
I used to be able to leave work at work. I can't do that any longer. It goes with me. It stays.
Part of stress relief was our teamwork. The teamwork was phenomenal.
Together, we accept this Humanitarian of the Year award on behalf of the 1,000+ employees in Memorial Health, from all the departments within Memorial Hospital to our Memorial Medical Group and Memorial Gables team members. For close to a year now, we have felt the support from within our organization, as well as from our community, as together we have rallied to fight COVID-19. It feels wonderful to have the American Red Cross shine a light on the hard work of Memorial team members, as well as the team from our other health system in Central Ohio. Thank you for recognizing the healthcare heroes in Memorial Health. We are honored.
Congratulations, Memorial Health, for your dedication to Central Ohio. Your personal stories are a reminder of just what families and health professionals have experienced during this pandemic. Our hearts and prayers go out to each and everyone touched by COVID-19. Thank you, Crystal, Jolene, and your Memorial Health team for stepping up when you were needed the most. Good afternoon. I'm Yolanda Harris of WBNS 10 TV. The American Red Cross needs your support. Consider this: when a family has an emergency message to get to a member of the armed forces anywhere in the world, the Red Cross can facilitate that communication. Imagine how comforting that is to families far apart. That's just one of many ways Red Cross comes to our aid. If you have not made a gift yet, now's the time. On the left of your screen, you will see options for making a donation. You can make your gift while viewing today's program. If you're watching on a smart device, you'll need to go out of full screen and scroll below the broadcast to donate. Or you can text the word Together Ohio, that's one word, to 762 5278. Or use your smart device camera with the QR code at the bottom of your screen and follow the prompts. Our final two health system honorees are Ohio Health and the Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center. Ohio Health showcases the importance of infection control teams in keeping healthcare providers, staff, and patients safe during a pandemic. Ohio State shined a light on the role of patient transporters and patient food service providers.
COVID has definitely changed what we do day to day in the infection prevention world.
A lot of the position is acting as an educator and a consultant.
We literally touch every part of the operating hospital. We are monitoring for infection, we're monitoring for best practice, for safest practice, we're monitoring for all the things we've heard so much about, hand hygiene, and we literally touch every part of that, housekeeping right on to the top.
Infection prevention is absolutely a team sport, not only within your healthcare system, but across healthcare systems. We have a local organization where there are about 40 infection prevention practitioners that meet.
I love that we do work with so many different people and in so many different areas within the healthcare system. And that's probably my favorite part. And the fact that everything that we do, be it the smallest little interaction to a sit down with a top leader, impacts patient care and makes it safer for people.
We, as infection prevention practitioners, are the subject matter experts in the field, so everything was changing and we were getting the updates just as fast as everyone else was, so trying to stay on top of everything, was very challenging.
Typically, pre-pandemic, we might get 3 or 4 phone calls in a 24-hour period. With the beginning of the pandemic, we saw that call volume shoot to over 100 phone calls a day.
Moving forward, I would think we would continue a lot of these practices. I think if nothing else, it's brought a lot of education and information to people about just the small little things they can and should be doing every day to make things safer. My partner infection preventionist at Mansfield, Liz DeHaan, and also my director, Joe, they described to me that a pandemic or an outbreak, something to that magnitude, is like the infection prevention Super Bowl. We do all this work in the background, but when one of these events happen, infection prevention's up in the forefront and it's our time to shine.
Hi, I'm Heather Brandon, Vice President of Finance at Ohio Health and Red Cross Central Ohio Chapter Board Member. On behalf of Ohio Health and our entire organization, I am proud to accept this year's Humanitarians of the Year Award to honor the pandemic response of our Ohio Health healthcare workers and the entire healthcare community. Of the many healthcare workers who played a critical role in the pandemic, we highlight Joe Henman and our Ohio Health Infection Prevention Team, representing all of our amazing healthcare workers. We also congratulate Dr. Amy Acton and the other Central Ohio healthcare institutions being honored today. We collaborated quickly and effectively to serve the public, sharing our collective response of Together We Can. We thank the Red Cross for recognizing these selfless and humble healthcare workers who give of themselves day in and day out, and especially during this pandemic. Thank you.
As a patient transporter, pretty much what I do is I'll pick up patients either at a test site or out of their room, and I'll take them either back to their room or to another test site. So pretty much just traveling them from point A to point B.
I'm over the patient food service division. And in patient food, we primarily make sure we feed patients depending on their daily dietetic orders. During the COVID period, the job changed drastically.
As an essential worker, working during the pandemic as everybody else is being told to stay home was pretty nerve-wracking at first. I remember when I first took a COVID positive patient, my heart kind of sinks. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get sick now. And I didn't.
I must say I've been in this department pretty much a good part of my adult life. It was just one of those things that we just had to dive in and do what we have to do. You don't look at the situation, you just try to make sure you feed the patients and get the job done. It was one of the things I must say my family was a little apprehensive.
It was kind of a big adjustment for my family. We had to really separate myself from everybody else, essentially, and my things from everybody else's things to try and be extra vigilant.
You know, they understood what I was going through. They understood my role and what it took for me to get the job done.
One thing I've learned from working in the pandemic is that things change on a daily basis. Even on an hourly basis, things change. I think it's hard for patients, especially with visitor restrictions, to not have that support group there with them.
Patients and visitors at the time were, not allowed in. So yeah, seeing somebody like myself bringing a food tray or a nutrition aide bringing a food tray in, even though they may be gowned up, wearing goggles, it was a welcome sight. And I must say the nursing staff really helped us. It really showed a good team atmosphere during that time, which is the most important thing that I can remember going forward. And when I look back on these days, I could just think about how the team came together, how everybody came together.
I'm Daniel Bachman. I'm an emergency physician and director for disaster preparedness.
I'm Erin Farrell, Director of Nursing for Emergency Services. On behalf of OSU Wexner Medical Center, we thank the American Red Cross for this recognition of the Humanitarians of the Year. Along with our public health and community members, as well as those within our health system, we are so appreciative of this great recognition.
We are humbled to represent the many great men and women for whom this recognition stands. And similarly, we are proud of the accomplishments they have provided in the care of our great citizens of Ohio. Thank you.
Congratulations to all of the health professionals and staff at Ohio Health and the Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center. Through the lens of the pandemic, taking a meal into a patient room or transporting a patient to another area involves significant PPE to protect the staff. These times are very different. During normal times, we don't give much thought to public health, but rest assured, a pandemic has been on the radar of our public health experts for years. While the virus type might be novel and unknown, the steps that can protect all of us remain largely the same. From the lessons of an Ebola outbreak in Africa ending less than a decade ago, public health has been working closely with all public health systems. Our next honoree, Dr. Amy Acton, found herself in a role that nobody of our generation has had to tackle. As the state of Ohio's health director, Dr. Acton had to make many tough choices to ensure the safety of every Ohioan. She did so with grace, calmness, and wonderful stories. In fact, Dr. Acton's thoughtful manner and the actions she took got Amy and Ohio national attention. Let's learn more about Dr. Acton and the role of public health.
For me, public health is really about how do we create those conditions in our communities so that everyone has the chance to thrive and contribute to their full potential.
The moment that she was appointed, she started reaching out to health commissioners across the state. She's incredibly compassionate. She is extremely smart. She knows the science. So it's this, public health it's a science, but it's also an art. And she really blends those two things together.
I can't say enough about what an honor it was. I always said that I was the tip of the iceberg of who was working on this. Just all the employees, local health department, state health department people, and everyone who's been on the front lines. And to be in that moment with the governor and lieutenant governor, to sort of become the voice of that moment, again, stands out as an honor. And this concept of finding your voice, your authentic voice, it's a journey of a lifetime. And honestly, I had a very difficult childhood, so this issue of voice and telling the truth and speaking truth has profound meaning to me. Enter the pandemic, and I'll tell you two things. First of all, I do think because of my childhood, I'm very good in a crisis. And we went out in a press conference and we just started telling the truth as best as we knew it. And then actually saying, what could we do to help one another?
I've heard the word grit used to describe her, and I think that coupled with her super smartness makes her extremely relatable to people and trustworthy, and people can gather some reassurance from that. She used to say, I have 11 million patients, and she felt that, every single one of them. They were her individual patients.
You just can't invent the ways that we Ohioans reached out to one another. The artwork, my refrigerator is still covered in little balls with little spikes, kids' artwork of coronavirus. It was very, very moving.
And I had to say, I have a 9-year-old daughter, and all last year she was one of the thousands of little girls who admired Dr. Acton and watched the press conferences and aspired to be the next Dr. Amy Acton.
The metaphor of all of this is in the little crises we face, in such a big crisis as this, you know, it really is about the kindnesses and the generosities and the ways we pull each other up. That is the power. That is the hero power, and it's in every one of us.
Listening to Dr. Acton's video reminds us of the informative, authentic, and inspiring voice that introduced us to a virus and how to flatten the curve. I hope those of you watching will be inspired to engage in public service, perhaps with the Red Cross. This organization relies on volunteers, whether you are welcoming donors at a blood drive or helping at a shelter after a flood. You can make a difference. Thank you for your generosity. Your gifts ensure that the Red Cross will be at the scene of a home fire to assist a family or install a free smoke alarm in homes without them. As Dr. Acton might say, put on your cape and be a superhero to someone. Pre-pandemic, most of us could not come up with the name of the State of Ohio Health Director. She shined a light on Ohio and Ohioans. From Sesame Street to Broad Street, Dr. Acton has been an educator, motivator, and role model for more than little girls in white coats. An opinion piece in the New York Times called her the leader we all wish we had. We call her a Humanitarian of the Year. To accept her award, here's Dr. Amy Acton.
Hello, everyone. I don't know how to thank you enough for the tremendous honor of this humanitarian award. To me, the American Red Cross has always symbolized just a tremendous light of hope when humanity faces some of its most tremendous crises and disasters. And I think of Clara Barton, one of the earliest and really most humble of all humanitarians. She never forgot her roots from whence she came, and she never really could understand being labeled something so bold as a humanitarian. And I, in receiving this today, really feel what she was saying when she would say those remarks. Because the truth of it is, the Red Cross is about training everyday citizens, each and every one of us, on how to be heroes and humanitarians for one another. It really is all the inspiration and teaching and training so that when our neighbor's in need, or someone's house is on fire, or a military family needs help, that we know how to reach out and best help one another. I thank Executive Director Corey Paul. I thank all of the employees, but mostly all of the volunteers, because the American Red Cross is mostly volunteer citizens. I thank the citizens of Ohio who really were the frontline heroes during this pandemic, and all the healthcare systems that are also being honored today. The Wexner Medical Center at Ohio State, Ohio Health, Nationwide Children's Hospital, Mount Carmel Health, and Memorial Health, and all of its employees. Because together, we really have represented the Ohioans who are helping one another through this pandemic. Again, I am just the representative of all of us reaching out to one another. So thank you. I am honored, and I am honored to be connected and to show what all Ohioans can do when they work together to help one another. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Amy. On behalf of the board, our board chair, Scott Owens, would like to once again recognize our 6 recipients.
The mission of the Red Cross is to prevent and alleviate human suffering in the face of emergencies. We share that mission with the healthcare institutions and public health professionals we honor today. This is the 25th year for our Humanitarian of the Year awards, and our silver anniversary class is unprecedented in the number of honorees and the impact of their efforts. On behalf of the American Red Cross chapter of Greater Columbus, it is my honor to recognize again these 2021 Humanitarians of the Year. Mount Carmel Health, Nationwide Children's Hospital, Memorial Health, Ohio Health, The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center, and Dr. Amy Acton.
What remarkable honorees. We thank each of you for participating in this year's event. Thank you Nationwide for your loyal support of Humanitarian of the Year, our chapter, and for the American Red Cross. Thanks to all our sponsors, and especially for those of you who made a gift during the show. Today's program brought together 5 outstanding healthcare systems, and the news anchors of our Central Ohio broadcast stations shared the stage. We are grateful for their participation and support. Let's let them have the last words.
Wow, what an inspirational program. Our honorees are truly humanitarians. Congratulations to Mount Carmel Hospital System, Nationwide Children's Hospital, Memorial Health, Ohio Health, The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center, and congratulations to Dr. Amy Acton.
Thank you to Nationwide for your unwavering support each year and for this 25th Humanitarian of the Year celebration. Our thanks to all of the dedicated sponsors and volunteers. A special thank you to each and every one of you who participated in today's inspiring program. You all are doing great work, and we're rooting for you.
The American Red Cross is inspired by the generosity of all of you, making our community stronger through an outstanding Red Cross chapter. Please be safe and healthy, and we look forward to celebrating together again next year. Thank you for joining us this annual celebration of the Humanitarian of the Year Award.